Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool would give up a chance for a 30% discount.
By the middle of the 21st century, organ failure had become a worldwide epidemic. But GeneCo was there to satisfy the demand for organ replacements. The problem is, if you miss a payment, GeneCo sends out the Repo man. And when he finds you, your time is up.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey. You can thank me for this one.
This week, we're discussing Repo, the genetic opera starring Alexa Penavega, Bill Moseley, Anthony Head, Sarah Brightman, Paris Hilton. Oh, God. Sweet Jesus. This was Aaron's to blame. Go ahead.
I blame TikTok. It's the Chinese getting into my brain. And I have to say, TikTok is sometimes wrong. They're just not wrong this time.
Oh,
For a while, it was the Zytrate song was constantly popping up on my feed.
Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures, forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's the latest?
Dude, I've been sick all Easter break. It's dark as pitch outside, but no hope of rain as usual since I live in a desert hell. Last week it was almost 90 degrees, so I don't even know what's happening.
Well, and the good thing about a rainy day here today is that because my internet is not hardwired, it's basically a hotspot, the cloud cover can affect my internet. So that's good. We had that to put up with the last episode, so buckle up.
Delightful. And I have no idea what our sound's going to be like because both of us are recording. Even though I've turned mine all the way up, there are just like micro blips for both of us going by.
It is. It could be a horror story. There's no rhyme or reason. There is no rhyme or reason. Sweet Jesus.
Agreed.
One thing I've noticed about being on spring break is my wife hands me a honey-do list. Here are your tasks for today. And I'm like, I don't see laying in bed watching movies on this list, my dear. Is that on the back? Is there a second sheet you want to hand me?
Dude, what kind of a spring break is that?
Sadly,
she's made her own list when it was her spring break, I'm sure.
She did. She basically was in there shoveling coal and digging ditches her entire spring break. So,
dude, I've been slightly sick. So basically, I putter, watch 3 hours of TV. Putter, 3 hours of TV. I almost watched all of the Fosse Vernon rewatch yesterday.
Was it good?
You never saw that?
No.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. With old Rockwell as Bob Fosse.
Oh, Sam
and
Rockwell?
Michelle, yeah, Sam Rockwell and Michelle William plays his ex-wife.
Oh, and Anne Reinking is Sarah Paulson. Is that what it is?
No, Anne Reinking is the chick from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Manson girl.
Oh, yes. What the hell's her name? Substance, right?
Yeah.
The Substance girl. God damn it. What is her name? Margaret Qualley.
Mini strokes.
This is what happens. Well, is Sarah Paulson in there somewhere or am I hallucinating?
No. It's a Ryan Reynolds, but she's not in
Not a
everything.
Ryan Reynolds. Ryan
Yes, it
Murphy?
is. Yes.
You said
Ryan
Ryan.
Murphy. Did I say Ryan Reynolds?
It's a Ryan Gosling. If only.
It's one of the Ryans.
What are the Ryans? 100%.
No, Ryan Murphy, my spirit animal. Fantastic.
You do enjoy him. That's why I asked, because Sarah Paulson's always in the Ryan Murphy movies or TV shows. I
Agreed.
should say.
Agreed. I think he's taken his eye off the wheel because the last American Horror Stories really have not been the epics they used to be, and I think they barely advertise them.
I definitely preferred it when he had his eye on the wheel, which I don't know what that means. Is that does one typically put their eye on the wheel?
Eye on the ball, hand on the wheel. It's a combination. He needs both. He
He's
needs eye
both.
and hand.
Sweet Jesus. Give us your 30-second synopsis of Repo, the genetic opera.
In this dystopian future, people need parts, and apparently there's no health insurance, so you need to borrow to get parts. Also, you just want to upgrade, you need to borrow. And if you default, the repo man comes and pulls out your parts. So that's not so great. So in this crazy world, there are all these various interesting little characters. There's a girl who supposedly can't leave her room because she has some blood disease. But as a 17-year-old, as one does, as we learned in Reefer Madness, they will rebel against their parents, tell them they hate them, and then run off to hide out with freaks. And everything goes bad after that.
Now,
And it's a musical.
and it's a rock opera, is what they will tell you. It's meant to be like Tommy or something, is what they were going for. You had never seen this before.
Never seen it, never heard of it. Shocking. But all the little gothlings on TikTok sure as hell have heard. That's why I'm surprised your daughter is unaware.
No, well, it's possible, and this happens sometimes on TikTok and all these things, where it's like a song will pop up, and there's no explanation where the song is from or what the meaning is or the background. So it's possible they've heard your crazy Zydrate song. It's possible they have not. Who's to say? I had seen like the poster, when you're flipping like you do. What movie do I want to watch? I've seen the poster from time to time, but I'd never felt the desire to click on it and see what it's all about. So,
Oh, I click on. I
well,
often find songs. I'm like, ooh, what's that song? And then I'll drop it into my Spotify list.
I find a comedy that where you hate the jokes is the bottom of the list. But a close second is a musical where you hate the songs.
I
Am
call
I
that
am I
Stephen
right?
Sondheim.
Oh no. How could
Ah!
you? How could you, Aaron? No, it's like,
Uh-huh.
look, I was a drama major in college. So I hung out with drama people. And at that time, the big musical was Rent. And I've talked about this before. And people were like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
Rent, Rent, Rent. When I finally saw it, I was like, hate all these songs. And,
I was bored and wandered off.
right.
Seasons of Love is a great song. But like Little Mermaid, you can't frickin' stretch three good songs across 2 hours.
And perhaps hate is a overstatement. I just didn't care about the songs. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like in one ear out the other. It's like when you go see Cats and they play any other song other than Memories, right? If any other song, I just
Not
get up and wander
Jellicle
around.
cats come out tonight. The Jellicle moon is shining bright. Speaking of cats, one of our cast members starred in Cats on Broadway and the West End. Woohoo!
Oh, that's what you took me a minute there. Yes, for some reason, Sarah Brightman, who is Christine Daae in The Phantom of the Opera, like in my mind, the Christine Daae in the musical. Because I mean, you could say it's junk food, but The Phantom of the Opera is nothing but bangers. It's nothing but bangers from Jump Street all the way through. I love practically every song in Phantom of the Opera.
Never seen it.
I can't even wrap my mind around this. You've seen Cats 400 times and you've never seen the Phantom of the Opera?
I saw Cats in Los Angeles. I refuse to see the weird anime, CGI, the tails coming out of your ass version that they released to the general public.
Right. They made it worse somehow.
They made it worse somehow. My cat story was it's intermission, and I turned to the person next to me and I said, "I don't know what the hell's going on."
Well, because that's now that we're talking about Cats, like the musical is really just kind of vignettes where
Yes.
there's a song. Here's this character. Hey, here's my song, and then they leave. Right? Basically,
Right.
the movie they
Mungo,
tried to make.
Jerry, and Rumple Teaser were a notorious couple of cats. It's
Right.
in my brain. I
So they
saw the play
tried. The
once.
movie tried to make it kind of a plot that you could follow, but that didn't help. Phantom of the Opera
It's
is much
based
better.
on a book. There's all these poems
It's a
about the
collection of
cats.
poems, not a book, which is
I'm
different.
gonna slap you across the airwaves.
Oh, God help us all. Anyway, Sarah Brightman famously was married to Andrew Lloyd Webber about that time. And if you're not into the Phantom of the Opera, you have like Sarah Brightman doesn't mean shit to you probably. Although she later had a hit where she sang "Time to Say Goodbye" with Andrea Bocelli, like the most
Dude,
famous.
back at the apex of Andrew
Yes,
Lloyd Webber,
correct.
everyone knew she was the most successful soprano who was actually able to cross over. I mean, she was the real fucking deal. And let's be straight, she left her husband, and so did Andrew Lloyd Webber because they got married.
Right, they were both married to other people, and they both divorced them and married each other. Now I don't know why we're talking about this for 20 minutes. She was not particularly famous when she was cast as Jemima in Cats, and then when they were going to do when they were going to bring the London stage production of Phantom of the Opera to the United States, and Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote the character. The character already existed, but he wrote with her in mind the songs and all the music and blah blah blah. When they came to the United States, AFTRA, the union, did not want to give a waiver to her because they typically only give waivers to like international stars who come, and at the time she wasn't. But Andrew Lloyd Webber basically said, "Well, then I'm not bringing this play to the United States." So they said, "Okay, this one time we'll let you slide." So
And I don't think they were together at that time, too.
they got together over the course of Cats, so that by the
Yeah.
time
I
it
think
became
they were
Phantom of the
already
Opera,
divorced by the time Phantom rolled around.
I think you mean from each other they were divorced?
Yeah.
I don't know. They got divorced in like '92 or something. So I don't. I mean, I
Oh,
don't. I
man.
need
Well,
to
then
look and
that
see
don't
what's up.
sound right.
That don't sound right. But that's neither here nor there. She's in this movie for some goddamn reason, rubbing elbows with Paris Hilton. Anyway, that's neither here.
I gotta tell you, I
Please.
did get a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber vibes from this film. So I don't know if he threw in 2 cents, but you know, in an opera or operetta, there's really not talking. So there's a lot of like kind of singing that moves the story along.
Right, singing your
That
dialogue.
contribution seemed very Andrew Lloyd Webber. It brought me total flashes of Jesus Christ Superstar.
It's annoying. It's annoying. Again, if I like the songs, I'm in. If you're just going to sing everything you say, then it's going to be annoying to me. I'm like, okay.
Okay. I'm telling you some Andrew Lloyd Webber. If we want to discuss operettas, let's talk about Les Miserables, which drove me fucking crazy.
Love Les Miserables.
There are
Boom!
so many good songs. I would have
Yes.
preferred if it was not an operetta.
Fair. Fair, fair, fair.
I
Anywho.
mean, Russell Crowe
Oh no.
and Wolverine talk singing. I mean, that fucking drove me crazy.
There was a joke on SNL about Russell Crowe singing in this movie. And it says, if you like the sound of a gorilla stepping on your nuts, then this is a movie for you. Anyway, that's not it.
Ah,
Poor Russell Crowe. Anywho,
we love Russell Crowe.
I don't know if we like the
We want
singing.
Padre Russell Crowe back. Papa Crowe.
Papa Crow, no question. Why don't we jump right into the highlights of Repo, the genetic opera? Hit it, Aaron. What you got?
Dude, I am so shocked that you didn't like this because it seemed very like Sin City graphic novel-y, that I thought for sure you would like it. Uh, the character that stole the show is the writer creator, the guy who plays the grave digger. I'm
Mhm.
like, he has an amazing effing voice and a range, and yet has really done nothing except his own stuff.
Right. There were two
Shocking.
guys. Two guys were the primary, creative forces behind this. The writer director, but one of the writers was also the narrator type, kind of Che Guevara and Evita, who just pop up every now and again and be like, "Here's what's going on for a second. I'm gonna now mambo out of the scene. Don't worry about me." To let you know what's happening. Look, his performance was good. Sarah Brightman is obviously unimpeachable.
Uh,
Some of the other
Beautiful
singers,
voice, lovely character. Yeah.
some of the other singers, on the other hand, we might be having a different conversation. Go ahead.
The only singing flaw is Paul Sorvino. He
That's
wants to
right.
do a little opera, but other times he sounds like shit and he looks like shit.
He's just
And I
doing his
like
Paul
Paul
Sorvino
Sorvino.
thing. He's just doing his thing.
No,
The thing
no.
about it, as always, is if you're going to have everybody sing, you can't have one of the singers be Sarah Brightman and one of the singers be Paris Hilton and have them like sing together. That's insane. You can't. You got to
Yeah.
have them all be kind of a similar level of singing ability. You can't just bounce it off the walls. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
and quite frankly, she was still better than Paul Sorvino.
she was. Look, she was. Her singing. Nobody's singing was like. Well, I don't want to. I don't want to say that. Generally, the singing was fine.
No, the singing was
Generally.
out of this world. What are you talking about? The
Uh,
girl who played the teenager, she was belting it out. Anthony Head sounded fantastic. I didn't know he sang.
I love how you're like an Anthony Head stan. Did you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Is that what this
I
all
did
comes
watch
from?
Buffy.
What
I
else
wasn't
do you see about it?
hardcore, but I watched it from time to time.
Because you got pissed off that I didn't like lead with him. What else do you know him from, by the
Dude, I looked this up. I think I found something else, but for sure, it's
way?
mostly Buffy the
Of
Vampire
course.
Slayer.
Okay, so now we're gonna take a minute while you look it up. Interesting.
Yes,
This
you
is
can
good fun.
talk while I look him up.
Sweet Jesus. Let me say this. So it takes place in the future, like the near post-apocalyptic despotic future, and it's basically like, for some
He was
reason
in
they
Ted
can.
Lasso. I thought you loved that.
Oh, he was in Ted Lasso. He is what's her name? Hannah Waddingham's ex-husband. Like, she won the team in the divorce. Basically, he was just kind of a dick. He didn't sing much, so
I will tell you, he's really done nothing. He's really done nothing. He was in Little Britain, which I saw a couple episodes of. He was in, remember the series Merlin?
no.
No, of course you wouldn't, because it's from 2008. And he was Uther Pendragon, and I watched that. I'm like, honestly.
So he was a cameo in the Merlin series. He was King
No, that
Arthur's
was a
father.
reoccurring character, I
Get the
think.
how is King Arthur's father the reoccurring character of Merlin?
He was in Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
I didn't see
He was
that
in
one.
The Iron Lady.
I did not see that one either. Perhaps I should. Is that Helen Mirren?
I think that's the Helen Mirren. Yeah, but not much.
No.
But he was singing his ass off. I thought he
No,
was
he sounded good.
great.
He sounded good. So in this future, they talked about, for some reason, people just started dropping dead. There's no explanation why people are dropping dead. So now people need new replacement organs
He was
and
in
shit.
Bridgerton.
Okay, don't remember him in Bridgerton.
Lord Sheffield. There you
So
go.
Paul Sorvino, I'm just going to keep talking about the plot. Paul Sorvino makes a company called Gene Co. where you can literally buy the organs you need to live on layaway. Essentially, I guess you rent them, you make payments on them, and if you're late
Yeah.
on your payments, then they send the repo man to literally just rip your heart out in an alley, which doesn't seem very sanitary, if I'm being honest.
Sarah Brightman pops her own eyeballs out and flings
That's
them
like,
to the audience.
so there's now this in that setting. There's a teenage girl who has some sort of illness they talk about, and in her youth, like when she was born, her father had to choose to save her life or her mother's life, and he saved her life. But now he's overprotective. And the grand reveal is that her father is also the repo man who works for Gene Co. Although why he does, it's unclear. None of this is particularly clear. And maybe you can help out. His wife had an illness, and he got
Right.
something from Gene Co. that he thought would help, and instead it was like poison. It essentially killed the girl or killed the mother, which is why put him, the repo man, in this position that he had to choose between them essentially. And that was because of revenge, because the mother was originally engaged to Paul Sorvino, but she left Paul Sorvino for Anthony Head. So
I was
it
trying to
seemed,
find some secret Andrew Lloyd Webber
let's
connection.
not do that. You need to interact with me, Aaron, for God's sakes.
Go.
So, and then later in the show, it's revealed that the daughter really wasn't sick at all. That the father was kind of poisoning her to keep her
Yes.
sick so she'd stay home.
Yes. He can't lose her.
So he's poisoning her.
Yes.
Now, maybe you know the answer to this. Why did Anthony Head have to become the repo man?
He's angry at society. I'm not sure why he had to.
Because I thought on one hand it was like I'll be the repo man because you are doing something for me, Paul Sorvino. I thought he was like going to get the cure for the disease for his daughter from Paul Sorvino or something like that. But that
But
doesn't
that
make any
doesn't make
sense.
sense.
Right.
No.
So I don't know why he's the repo man.
He just simply is. Good jobs are hard to find.
Good. That's basically what it is. Because it's very much like, because when you're the repo man, you are a murderer. And he's kind of an unrepentant psychopath. And when he's the
Yeah.
repo man, he is hunting people down. And it's not nice. It's not humane. He's like murdering them with
Yeah.
like the scalpels and shit. So he's a
Yeah.
bad dude,
Yes.
right? So it's
Right.
hard to understand.
As all repo men are when they come to take your stuff that you stop paying for.
Ah, sweet Jesus. And then you've got Paul Sorvino's three children who are vying for control of the company because Paul Sorvino's dying of cancer or something along those lines.
Right.
And those three children are Paris Hilton, who I guess like is constantly undergoing surgical procedures for some reason,
Right.
right? You've
And she
got
didn't do a bad job.
she's not honestly, I will say this. When I've seen her in things, and maybe it's just my expectation, you think she's gonna like be a goddamn train wreck, and she's not. She ain't Meryl Streep, but she's fine. Basically, is
She's
what it
come
is.
out and said all her baby talk and all that. That's just all an act. That is for the Paris Hilton act.
Oh, of course. Well, she's like 45 now. Like I've seen her in commercials for some Vegas thing. She's not a little kid. She's like practically my age. So there's only so long you can play the baby talk shit before people think you're insane. Um, so she's one daughter. Then you've got the two sons. There's one of the sons is Bill Moseley, whose thing is he's just angry, and I guess he's like
Yes.
also a murderer or something along those lines. They kind of show a
And
photograph of
that's
him.
Chop Top, right?
That's Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then there's another son who has some kind of an Eastern European accent and has like a fake rubber face. that he puts over his face for some reason. Is
Yeah,
that
though
explained?
that's another thing. If you want an upgrade instead of a facelift, they can just clamp this flesh mask onto your head.
And that's a good thing. People want that. Is that correct?
People want that. Yes, that
Because
is
I kept
correct.
thinking their company does nothing but surgical procedures. So why can't they? Because underneath his face is all jacked up. They show it like
Right.
briefly, like he's all scarred up. Why don't they just fix his face?
They're
Unclear.
they're just not good at it, I guess.
Who knows? Who knows what's going on?
Well, because
And
the same thing with Paris Hilton. When you see her real face, her father's like, "You're a disgusting monster. Stay away from me."
so it was the same kind of situation where there's like a jacked up face. Because she comes in and she's like, "Yeah, I got some surgery," and her face is all chewed up. And he is not very sympathetic to her freakishness. So
He seems like a bad dad. First of all, you've raised these three psychotic children. His whole thing is he's promising the Repo man's daughter that he has a cure for the disease and wants to leave everything to her because he was in love with her mother,
right, but he killed her
who
mother.
spurned him for the Repo man.
And that's what he says. But none of this makes a whole lot of sense. So because he murdered her mother because he was mad that she spurned him, but now he wants to give his company
Wait a minute.
to
How did he murder her mom?
because
I
he
thought it
gave.
was.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought it was the dad's experimentation.
He was trying. Basically, he was trying to figure out a way to cure her from whatever illness she had, but
Right.
somehow Paul Sorvino slipped some poison in there, and so that when she
Oh,
drank whatever the thing that was supposed to help her, it actually killed her,
right, right.
and that was on purpose. Um, but and this is the timeline all doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So he was Paul Sorvino's kids are not the dead mother. They aren't her kids.
No.
That's from a previous relationship heretofore never mentioned. Is that what that is?
Apparently so, because as we know, the daughter is 17 years old based on the song. Maybe she's lying, but clearly
Maybe
he
she's
was in a
lying.
previous relationship.
Correct. So he wants to give the company to the Anthony Head's daughter because he was in love with her mother. But there's also Blind Mag, who was the blind best friend of the mother.
I
And
honestly thought we were going to find out the blind Mag is really her mother,
but we did not.
but
We
we
did
did
not.
not.
She was just a friend of the family who was blind, who had a beautiful voice. And they gave her crazy like robot eyes or some shit.
Yeah.
But she signed a lifetime contract with Gene Co. So now she has to perform for their operas for the rest of
She's
her
the
life.
voice of Genentech or whatever it is. We're going to
The
call it Genentech.
spokesmodel, whatever the hell she is. I don't know. Yeah. Oh God. So when she finds out that her dead best friend's daughter is still alive, she tries to visit her, but Anthony Head's kicking her out for some reason. None of
Right.
this shit made any sense to me. Do you know what's
Well,
happening
because
there?
they were told the daughter had died at
Right.
birth. So he's trying to keep Paul Sorvino from knowing what's really going on.
But why?
Because well, if he killed mom, maybe he's
But he
going to come
doesn't
and
know
kill the
that Paul
kid.
Sorvino killed the mom. He thinks that's
But
why he's
that's
so
why he's
guilty.
keeping her in. If he's bebopping at the future 7-Eleven and he has an appropriately aged daughter, they're going to put two and two together.
So now why does Gene Co now want to kill Blind Mag?
She left.
She was
She
quitting.
ran off. She
But
took off.
she took off, but then she came back for the performance. Right?
She came back for the performance to pull her eyes out and just say, "F you, f you."
Oh God. So the end of the movie takes place very much like it's a play. Like everybody, all the characters are on stage, and there's even an audience there. Blind
Yes,
Mag is floating around singing her crazy song with wings on like ropes or whatever the hell
on
they are,
rails.
wires. and
Yes.
she has like long things, and she pops her eyeballs out and
And
falls
by
off.
long things, you mean her fingernails
Yeah, she
or
had long, for some reason, she had long, crazy fingernails, which I noticed early on. So it was a good thing that that she used them for some purpose, and then impales herself on a wrought iron gate on the stage. So I don't know, but sweet Jesus. So Paul Sorvino is like, you have to kill your father who's been poisoning you all these years, and if you do that, then I will give you the company. And she doesn't do it. So
right.
and then Paul Sorvino drops dead anyway. So I don't know what happens to the company at that
And her
point.
father's dead too, because he gets stabbed.
He got,
He gets
yes,
killed by one of Paul Sorvino's kids.
correct. The end. Anything else about this movie? This movie's insane.
Well, while on top of all of this, you have the grave
Please.
digger because there's this drug you can get, Zydrate, that you suck it out of the brain of the dead. So that's why he's the grave robber. And then he sells it to like Paris Hilton. It's like it's clearly heroin.
Well, the thing about the Zydrate is Geneco makes the regular type that you can go, but it's expensive. But you can buy the bootleg shit that they literally suck out of the dead bodies. I guess that's cheaper for some reason. And it comes in a little vial and there's a song about it. Would you like to sing the song, Aaron?
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial. A little
A little
glass
glass
vial. A
vial.
little glass vial. Yeah, basically it's about, and you put it in a gun, press the gun against, da da
Yeah.
da da.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah,
find it on TikTok. There's
yeah.
1,000 cosplay girls as dressed as blind mags and 1,000 clips. That's their big catchy song, which is quite catchy.
So now there was going to be two sequels to this movie that were planned.
What?
Yes, one was going to be, the first one was going to be a prequel of what had occurred in, before this movie takes place, and the next one was going to be a sequel. Sadly, this movie made like $100,000 at the box office, so they said no thanks, moving on. Wah,
Too
wah,
bad, but now it
wah.
has a huge cult following. I mean, this was a play first.
Right, it
It
was.
like morphed because they were selling out. Went from a 10-minute thing to it morphed. It was off Broadway, never made it to Broadway, but it was successful. That's why they got the money for this movie. It's got all kinds of special effects and costumes and Sarah Brightman. I mean, come on. They had some
They,
scratch to put together.
this, you're right, from the standpoint of an off Broadway show, it was successful. From the standpoint of a theatrical release movie, a little less so, I would argue. So
I would say that after your review, and I hadn't watched it yet, I was expecting the worst, but I kind of liked it.
it's not the Forbidden Zone, which is the one I always go back to when I shake my head, going, "Why am I watching this?" But I will also say, within 10 minutes, I had my phone in my hand and I was just kind of looking at
What
other things.
the
Yes,
what?
I
A
did.
shock.
Now, I do kind of appreciate, like we talked about, kind of a comic strip kind of quality, and there were kind of like animated interstitials. There's really the production value of it. I didn't have any issues with. It was not necessarily top drawer. You could tell this was kind of Sci-Fi Network quality, but that's
Oh,
fine.
this is hard. Get out. This is not Sharknado.
This is a
This is
little
definitely, there's
Sharknado-y.
more money than Sharknado. And the guy who wrote it also did all the graphics and all that. He's
Yeah.
a comic book illustrator.
Now you said, K Dog, you liked frickin' Sin City. Actually, I hated Sin City.
I hate Sin City, by the
This
way,
movie sucks.
also.
So, but it wasn't the look of it that I didn't like, right? It was more of the content. So that's neither here nor there. Shall we go behind the scenes, Aaron?
Let's go. Let's go, bro.
I just mentioned this. The producers have stated this film is really just the middle part of a planned trilogy. Sadly, no time frame has been given for when production could start on the next movie. Wah, wah.
Brrr.
Uh, Paris Hilton was so passionate about the film being made that when the production was going to be halted due to the budget going over by $50,000, Hilton made a paid appearance at a nightclub for that sum to make up the difference and keep the filming going.
Dude, right on, Paris.
Yep.
You know, Paris was almost related to us. You know, our Aunt Marge was proposed to by Conrad Hilton,
I did know
according to
that.
family lore. And I
Of course.
said, well, why the hell didn't Aunt Marge say yes?
100%.
Apparently, she was very young and he was old
very
as
old.
Yes.
The song "I Didn't Know I'd Love You So Much" was originally a lullaby composer Darren Smith sang to his son. So there you go. Darren Lynn Bozeman originally refused to hold an audition for Paris Hilton. He did not think she would be capable and feared media backlash or accusations of stunt casting, but he finally caved in, and Paris came into the audition dressed perfectly for the part and rocked the sound booth audition. After the audition, he was convinced she could play the role.
Good for her.
So there you go. Many of the costumes worn by Amber Sweet and the support group members were Paris Hilton's own clothes. Shocking.
I believe that.
The entire set was built on one soundstage. And Anthony Stewart Head was chosen for the role as Nathan Wallace after the director had heard him sing in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer 6th season episode 7, which was titled Once More with Feeling. So he heard and was oh, look at this. Anthony Stewart Head has several other singing credits to his name, as well as he even replaced his brother Murray Head
Oh
in
Lord!
the musical.
What? His
Yes.
brother was Murray Head? I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either.
One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster.
Yes, we're very old. Yeah, I think he also played Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar, if I'm remembering correctly.
Dude,
Murray
I'm
Head.
telling you, Jesus Christ Superstar, some of the singing totally reminded me of that. So even though Lloyd Webber was not involved, there was liberties taken because I was getting
Absolutely.
some Pharisee vibes.
The band members of the Genetic Opera are wearing masks because originally the film only was allowed to have 20 extras. So they had to keep reusing them. And this is Sarah Brightman's first film appearance. So there you go.
She was great. She was
great.
rocking it.
She's always great. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Let's go.
Paul Sorvino played Roddy Largo. Oh, good Lord. You know him from The Rocketeer in 1991.
Never saw that.
Repo, the Genetic Opera in 2008. He was Paul Cicero in Goodfellas in 1990.
That's the one. That's the flavor. That's one of those movies, if it's on, I just let it play. I love Goodfellas.
He played Henry Kissinger in 1995's Nixon.
I think I saw that too. And he's the father of
Mira Sorvino, Academy Award winner.
And blacklisted by fucking
Weinstein.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Weinstein.
Anthony Head played Nathan, the Repo Man. You know him from 122 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer playing Rupert Giles. You know him, don't you?
Hey,
and
Buffy was huge, dude. Buffy was huge.
I'm the only person who preferred the original movie to the TV series, but what do I know?
Nobody liked the original movie. No.
He played Nathan. He played Nathan in Repo the Genetic Opera. In 2005, he was in Imagine Me and You. And he was Benedict in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, the Nicolas Cage sequel to the original Ghost Rider movie.
See? He's real.
Alexa Penavega played Shiloh Wallace.
Yes.
You know her for Spy Kids 2, Islands of Lost Dreams, Spy Kids 3, Game Over. And
my kids love Spy Kids. That's when Roberto Rodriguez was making children's films.
She was also in From Prada to Nada in 2011. So
Missed
there you
it.
go. Let's see. Sarah
How
Brightman
about From
played
Nada to Nada?
from Sarah Brightman played Blind Mag. You know her from Repo, the Genetic Opera. She was in the soundtrack for Ronin, Time to Say Goodbye. She was in the soundtrack for Wanted in 2008, Time to Say Goodbye. And First Night in 2010. I'm unfamiliar.
First Night, that's the King Arthur one.
Not this
Wasn't
one.
that with
This is
huh?
Night. This is Night. So it's a different night. Let's see. Paris Hilton played Amber Sweet. You know her from The Hottie and the Naughty, 2008. She was in House of Wax in 2005. Repo, the Genetic Opera in 2008. And Pledge This in 2006.
Did you say it's First Night, Knight?
No, I said not that. Just
Oh,
Night.
ah.
Bill Moseley played Luigi Largo. You know him from such things as The Devil's Rejects in 2005, Repo, the Genetic Opera 2008, House of a Thousand Corpses in 2003,
Oh Lord.
and Night of the Living Dead 1990, the remake, starring Johnny. He was only in a few minutes of that one. And of course, he was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He was in Silent Night and Deadly Night 3. The list goes on and on.
All right, Drop Top.
Let's look at the rating, shall we?
Let's go.
Rotten Tomatoes gives Repo, the Genetic Opera, 37% rotten based on 60 reviews.
No,
Do you know
that's
what?
not real.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
90%?
73.
Boo, see?
Well, it's something. Let's take a look at the top critics, shall we? Peter Travers of Rolling Stone says, talented actors are involved, and I will spare them by not citing their names. 0.5 out of 4.
Lord. That's hateful. That's hate inside yourself.
That's pretty rough, Peter. If I'm being honest,
Yes.
that was probably
Come on,
a little
Peter.
excessive.
Settle down.
Amy Nicholson from IE Weekly says, bad good in the way the Rocky Horror Picture Show must have seemed to nuns, except without the shock, musicality, or meatloaf.
How it must have seemed to nuns?
That's what she said.
Oh God.
Sweet Jesus. Okay, well let's okay. Nick Shager of Lessons of Darkness says, rips off heavy metal and horror aesthetics to absolutely dismal effect. D+. Good grief. And finally, let's talk to our house critic, AI Rex Reed. This is what he had to say. Repo, the Genetic Opera, is what happens when Hot Topic stages Sweeney Todd on a Red Bull bender and nobody has the heart or talent to say no. Boom. AI Rex Reed, he doesn't mess around. So there you go. What is your rating, Aaron?
Dude, I bought into it. I was down with it. I mean, of all the horror musicals we have watched, this is by far the best
most recent.
by a long slide. I'm sorry, are you saying that Rockula is better than this?
No, I would not say Rockula is better than this. Sweet Rockula.
Oh,
let's go right
Lord.
to Rockula. Why don't we?
Well, Jesus. Because we did the
Phantom of the
Scott
Paradise.
Baio musical, but that was not for our podcast.
That's not a horror musical either.
No.
Bugsy Malone.
And it's still, this is better than that too. I think in cult horror musicals, we got Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then we got Repo, the Genetic Opera, right underneath.
Okay.
And then it just stops there. There is nothing
There
below
is
that.
nothing else to discuss. What is
There's
your
nothing
rating?
else to discuss. So my rating is with one critique. We needed more of the Gravedigger. We need him to have a more solid role in this. Like we needed him to be the love interest who saves the day.
There is no love interest in this, is there?
No, that's a problem. Because and also his voice is fucking amazing, and we needed more of him. But saying that, I am going to give this a solid 3.75 out of 5 points. Applaud, applaud, applaud. Excellent work. The Zydrate comes in a little glass vial. It's going to get
A
in your
little
head,
glass
man.
vial.
Little glass vial.
Whenever I think of these songs, I think of Labyrinth, where they're like, "What babe? The babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo." Anyway, that's
I've
neither here
never
nor
seen The Labyrinth.
there. I saw it years and years ago. It's what if David Bowie met Jim Henson's puppets? That's what you get.
I mean, I'm
Uh,
pro Bowie. I do see that Willow is streaming too. I remember
well,
having to buy an old bootleg copy of it to be able to see it.
it's dynamite. Anyway, that being said, look, production values are fine, performances are fine. Some are definitely better than others. Um, my biggest complaint is I could not hum a tune of one of these songs. Honestly, even your crazy
The
vial with
Zydrate comes in a little glass
the
vial.
well, there's one. There's one. And like I said, it's not horrible, but it was honestly I was kind of bored through a lot of it. Um,
How dare
it is.
you?
It is. If I went to the theater, they're putting on a production of Repo, a genetic opera, maybe I'd appreciate it more, but I don't think I would, honestly. I like the look, um, but I just if I don't like the songs, then I don't really nothing else matters at that stage of the game. So I give it. I'm gonna give it 2.25 out of 5.
Oh my god.
It's not total horseshit, but it's definitely not
I
good.
think a 2.25 equals total horseshit. I
No,
think that's
total
in fact.
horseshit is you're in the ones. I think it is total horseshit. I'm not giving it a point
I think
five.
it's the same rating you gave Cannibal Holocaust.
It was the same rating I gave. Cannibal
Cannibal
Holocaust.
Holocaust the musical.
I did like the music better from Cannibal Holocaust, if I'm being honest.
Shut up.
Now, that being said, any last thoughts of Repo the Genetic Opera?
I say check it out, kids.
I say if you're at a party where somebody else is playing it, you don't have to leave. That's my advice. Anywho,
Damn
so thank you very much. We are across social media: Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. You can also watch us on YouTube. Ooh la la. You can also email us the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail.
Gmail.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finest podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review, won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
Mostly I'm hanging out on the gram, the cult of Aaron, join the cult, and artsy first dibs, Aaron Doherty. Check it out.
Boom shakalaka. What else is going on? What we like to do is share our friends' thoughts and feelings across the interwebs on our posts, on our movies, on our podcasts. Aaron, what do you got?
All right, this is in regards to our Psycho drop. The question was, would you be willing to stay at the Bates Motel? And Leo from Voluntary Input commented, piece of cake. Norman was easy to suss out. On another note, I'm not sure if I ever fully watched this from the beginning to end, or did this at the beginning, such a young age. I'm having a stroke. Let me start that again. Leo from Voluntary Input commented, piece of cake. Norman was easy to suss out. On another note, I'm not sure if I ever fully watched this from beginning to end, or I did so at such a young age that I can't remember. This shit commented, yes, because I would not shower, and Norman is a normal guy who wouldn't hurt a fly. And Ab Eterno commented, of course I'd stay there. I'd beat the brakes off of Norman. Greg Rock 6969 commented,
6969.
yeah. It was a picture of it was a video of the shower scene that I had posted about whether this is like a real classic, and there's no grotesque shots or anything. It's a classic. Lisa Rose 9695 commented, this literally shocked me. I became nauseous. It was so scary, the shower scene. So we
Okay.
got a lot of feedback on Psycho.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. Next week, we're discussing the horror classic Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Now, when I suggested this, Aaron, you said, have we talked about Prom Night 1? And I say no, because they're entirely unrelated.
Womp womp.
This is a thing where a Canadian company made a movie just called Hello, Mary Lou. And in a cash grab kind of mood, they decided to call it Prom Night 2, even though it has nothing to do. There's no Jamie Lee Curtis in this. There's no plot, thematic elements that have any connection to the first one. So unnecessary. So check out Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Where can you find it? It's on Prime Video. Prime Video free with subscription. It's also on
free with ads. Bastards.
It's on Fubo. It's on Peacock. It's on AMC Plus, Roku. Hoopla's free. Fandango with ads. Shudder, Philo, Pluto TV, Plex. The list goes on. It is
everywhere.
Everywhere for free. And you can decide whether or not you want to actually have ads or not. Oh, and you can buy it for $6.99. How about that? Keep it with your collection forever.
I'm going to hold off on that. We'll see.
We shall see. So, send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So, thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, children.